Hello everyone and welcome to MTG Poke Hero. Today we're going to be doing a deck tech over blue-white approach. First of all, I just want to apologize for not posting in a while. Things have been kind of busy. It will take a little bit break from school, but all in all, home life is still pretty crazy at this point in time. So I just wanted to go over one of my favorite decks right now in Standard, blue-white approach. This is actually a deck that I'm looking at bringing to my local PPTQ here at the end of November. So at least this way I've been able to play test it. Um, you know, one of the really cool deals about this deck is the namesake of the card, Approach of the Second Sun. If you cast it, and then you cast it another time, you basically win the game. At the resolution of your first cast, you gain 7 life. And then it is put at the 7th top spot of your library. Sorry, it's a little bit tired today. So one thing, we got to see this really big with like Jim Davis and during the SCG tour in Dallas, I believe, is when he first put this up. Him and another guy made it really popular. And then, we had Worlds happen and we did not a single white card was registered. So everybody was still kind of wondering if Approach of the Second Sun is still pretty good. And I still think it's a very viable deck. And just as Paulo Vito or Damarosa mentioned, Worlds was basically the best 24 players in the world with a very small group, and everybody just wanted to play one of the best decks, which of course ended up being Temur Energy. So when creating this deck, I had 2 main decks in mind that I wanted to go up against. Obviously, I wanted to go up against Temur Energy and do good, as well as Blue-Black Control. That was also another major deck at the time. The other deck that I had to consider was Ramunap Red. Those are all 3 decks that are still putting up pretty decent stats in a lot of different tournaments. Not only that, we also have to look out for Martin Vehicles' back end, which is kind of annoying, but it's not nearly as good as what it was, although they are now bringing in Hazoret the Fervent and Beaumont Courier, which does still kind of improve them a little bit. So for this deck, the main deal is just trying to get to our Approach the Second Suns. I like this deck a little bit more because it's a little bit more controlling than what some of the other decks were. So we'll go. So obviously, we won't play 3 Approach the Second Sun. We don't want to play 4, just because I think that 1 extra approach kind of. I mean, if we get 2 approaches in hand, it's great. Especially when you have the mana cast it, but we don't. It kind of just sits there a little bit. And I think with this particular mode, we have a lot of ways to look up for our approach. So definitely want to play the 3 copies of Approach the Second Sun. One of the other deal too is a lot of the decks, they do not play Torrential Gearhulk in the main. Instead, they will play some other removal or maybe some different counter spells. I think all in all, I'm running about 14 counter spells in my main deck, which is also pretty different. But being able to have a Torrential Gearhulk to flash them back is really great. Not only that, it's another win condition for us. So that way we don't really have to rely on our Approach to the Second Suns. And I think it also helps us out with the blue-black matchup. And we'll go over some cards that are pretty good for that here in just a second. So for removal suite, we're going to be playing 4 copies of Cast Out. It's definitely one of the best removals in Standard right now. I mean, it hits everything, which is great. It gives us tons of options to be able to hit. Now for I kind of split up. Originally, I was going to run a 3-3 between Fumigate and Settle the Wreckage. I settled on 4 Fumigate just because it's just so good, and it's just more reliable on turn 5. Just be able to wipe the whole entire board, be able to start something a little bit new. Settle the Wreckage is pretty good. I don't like being able to give them land to where they can ramp, but being able to hit a Settle the Wreckage off of a Torrential Gearhulk is pretty nice. It always makes me feel good when that happens. Our other main kind of card draw is Search for Azcanta. This card is nuts. Just being able to scry And then after that, it ends up transforming into, let's bring it up here real quick. I don't know why it just, this can't have this like ruins next one. After it's able to transform into Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin, I mean, just being able to impulse every turn, we get to do this a lot more than what people really think you can. It transforms really quick, especially with our, definitely Field of Ruin, Impinu, Riverlet, all of our cycles, like our farmlands and sensors and cast out. It just makes it really good and easier to find either that same copy of approach or we'll find another copy of approach a lot faster. So for our counter suite, though, I wanted to keep it simple. It's something I've really noticed. Sensor, being able to have that sensor value is great. Not only that, when they see it, they'll leave up 1 mana the whole entire time, which allows you to play around them playing around sensor. Disallow just for that hard counter. Not only that, will counter some of those different abilities that comes out, Planeswalker Ultimates. Essence Scatter, basically right now it's blue Doomblade, just being able to get rid of stuff before they hit the field, like Hazoret, Glorybringer. That Bristling Hydra is a big one for us and everything like that. 1 copy of Negate. In the main, just go against the blue-black and some of the red burn that happens. Our best counter spell right now at this point is probably Supreme Melnari that we can counter spell, but also just being able to go 4 cards deep to find our searches or our approaches for the Second Sun. And not only that, with Torrential Gearhulk, we're basically doubling the amount of counter spells that we have in here. Just being able to hit Negate again is really good with this deck. The other go-to, we are playing 4 Glimmer, just so that way, we can actually go 4 cards deep, which is really good. If we look at the top 2, we don't like them, put them down on the bottom, be able to hit our approach. Now, let's talk about the lands real quick. We're running 6 islands, 5 planes. We need that extra plane. At one point in time, I was running 7 and 4, but when I put it and settle the wreckage and everything like that, I need to bring it back in an extra island. Irrigated Farmland is great, just to be able to find our extra searches and just be able to cycle is great. I don't know why I keep saying searches. Our approaches. Glacial Fortress is just a reprint that's really good. Now, Field of Ruin and Impinu Riverlet are actually really major within the control matches. A lot of the control games I went to, most of them went to where we ended up decking out. Field of Ruin, just be able to take care of other search for Azcanta. They can take out the Adantos, which are big in the Esper tokens and the Abzan tokens. But really the all-star out of here is definitely this Infinite Riverlets. Just being able to go 4 deep. We always want to try to keep track of what our approach is. And just being able to do this and then playing a draw spell or a cycle spell, then it gets us to our approach even faster. Field of Ruin's good. And not only that, with Field of Ruin, you can take out their new Riverlets. So that way you can mill them out before they mill you out, which is really nice. So our sideboard, it's a little bit different. We're going to play 4 Authority of the Councils just for those heavy aggressive decks. Also stops them from tapping out for vehicles. We gain a lot of life. 3 Regal Caracal, just for 5 mana, get 7 power. And then you get an extra 4 power worth of lifelink is really good. 2 more Torrential Gearhulk. I like bringing this in the control matchup, just so that way I have something to switch into a different kind of plan, because they're expecting our approaches, and just being able to take out our approaches and put in some of our creature sweep is really good. One of the main stars in this is the Vizier of Many Faces. Originally this was being brought into battle stuff like Carnage Tyrant and Bristling Hydra. It still does it, and it does a great job of that. But with Blue Black being so prominent, just being able to copy a Scarab God is really nuts. Scarab God is great, and I think this handles Scarab God just excellent. It is so awesome. Not only that, it has the Embalm, so we can just keep bringing it back. Or something like that. 3 more negates, and then 1 more Essence Scatter for those really creature heavy decks. Usually we bring them in like Ramen Up Red on the draw, or not on the draw, on the play. We don't really like this on the draw, but Authority of the Councils in that matchup is great all the time. So it's a little bit more trickier. Basically, we can change from a blue-white approach to the Second Sons deck to more of a blue-white kind of control deck. We've got a different control suite just based off of what we need for all the different matches. But that's all for this. I mean, I really like this, and I'm hoping to bring a buddy so that way he can do all the commentary now for matches. I think he'll do pretty good. I'll still be around doing all the deck techs and everything like that, but I think it'll be something a little bit different and might enjoy it a little bit. So, all right. My name is Zach with MTG Poke Hero. Just remember, if you liked our video, please like, subscribe, tell us your friends about us. We're going to try to get the channel up, back, and going around. We're getting ready for PPTQs around here. I missed one last week, but I will hopefully I'll make the one this week. Or not this week, in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be practicing this deck, and we'll be practicing a couple other like tier 1, tier 2 standard decks, and going over through with that. And hopefully I'll have the new guy up for commentary probably later tonight. He'll be posting up here, so hopefully it works out. All right. My name is Zach, and may the top decks be forever in your favor. Thanks, and have a good night.